Welcome to OBM Unscripted, where the systems get sassy, tech tantrums are tamed, and real talk rules the mic.
We're your hosts. I'm Christy Beard, your go-to strategist and business coach.
I'm Muneeba Brooks, your operations and tech whisperer.
And I'm Layna May, the guru of systems and workflow magic.
We're all accredited OBMs, and we have seen it all.
If you've ever wanted to scream into a client brief, cry over Zapier, or Google, "Can I invoice for emotional labor?" you're in the right place.
This is your space for behind-the-scenes stories, hot takes, and community vibes for OBMs, VAs, and online service bosses.
Real talk, real answers.
Unfiltered,
Unscripted. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of OBM Unscripted. Today, we are talking about what we wish we knew before we became OBMs. I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and I see a lot of VAs who are essentially marketing their services, but those are OBM services that they're marketing. So I think within the online space, the freelancer pool itself, there is a lot of confusion between VAs and OBMs and who does what. And I notice when I talk to clients as well, I usually have to explain what is an OBM. And I'll have to use terms like director of operations, chief of staff, your right hand to take over everything so you can continue doing what you love. There's so much confusion there. And I think that also bleeds in to the conversation about rates and what we're charging. Because sometimes you will encounter a client where they're like, well, I could just get a VA to do that, because they think the VA is this unicorn that's going to come in and handle everything and someone they can pay $7 an hour. But then they're also, business owners are running into issues where now they get a check on their expectations to say, okay, maybe it's not a VA that I'm looking for. Maybe I need more support. So I think the lack of consistency with labels and titles and everything that's out there is adding to the confusion of, what the value is of an OBM and what we bring. And so strategic positioning is very, very important based on who your target client is. I mean, I follow a couple women who are based in the UK, and they position themselves as VAs. But all of their content is about running your operations, managing your team. It's about doing all the things an OBM does, but they haven't adopted the name OBM. They're calling themselves, as you said, executive VAs or strategic VAs or what have you. And I think that causes a lot of confusion. So if I could go back and tell myself that early on, that you can't just slap on the sticker OBM and expect people understand your value. So I'm seeing that I still have to demonstrate my value in discovery calls and, talk about what I can offer and what my packages are and how I am different from the competition, whether it's local or outsourced, to Asia. And kind of it's just market positioning that I noticed I have to make sure that I outline whenever I speak to clients. But with that said, now that we're kind of going down that line about positioning, what has your experience been with targeting a specific client subset? Do you target anyone? What's your niche? Do you have a niche? Are you a generalist? Layna.
I'm all niche, baby. Real estate is my niche. I've been in it for a very long time. I've tried to be that unicorn employee in real estate. And I started out as a real estate agent and realized I was having more fun doing the paperwork than I was chasing clients and viewing homes. What I also realize about being the unicorn, so to speak, is your expectations are set very, very high with that CEO or that lead agent. And if you're not meeting those expectations 6 months, 12 months down the road because they've changed their scope and forgot back to tell you about it, and you're not thinking to ask, you're just like, feeling it early on, like something is not right here. And I don't know what it is. And experience kind of gives you the, okay, their expectations have now changed. I need to ask what their new expectations are based on what we're doing. And a lot of times it's pure chaos. It's like you shifted and forgot to tell me and the team that you shifted. So now everybody needs to shift. Everybody's expectation needs to change. um, I think when it comes to niching, if you find what you love, it's easier to jump into that niche. And once you start doing well with one client, they do tell other clients about you. That's how you get referrals. But it's not, yeah, I'm jumping into this niche and the clients are going to come. You've got to prove yourself because these people don't know who you are, don't know what you bring to the table. And that's really where you need to sell yourself.
I'm a nicher, so I think my ultimate big picture is I just really want to help people do what they do better. And not that they're not doing well at it, but that my thing is systems and foundations. And if they don't have a strong foundation, they're not going to be able to build on it. They're not going to be able to grow like they want to grow. And that's where I come in. I help them build the system for their business, build the back end, so to speak, and make sure that their foundation is solid so that it will grow with them and that they don't have to rebuild every time they pivot or every time they add a new offer or a new program or bring on more clients or grow their team. I help them set everything in place, whether it's just them at first, and usually it's just them. But if they don't build their system to grow where they want to be, then they won't get to where they want to go. If they have a system in place and a foundation in place, then they are able to do it better. Not that I'm teaching them how to do what they do. I'm helping them put the foundations in place so that they can basically build it and forget about it because it will grow with them.
For myself, I think I had a bit of trouble with the niching. I know in previous discussions I've talked about my work with neurodivergent clients, but I think from an actual work perspective, because I came from the VA space and worked as a VA generalist who did all the things, my challenge was, do I stay that generalist or do I just do systems implementation? What do I do? So all my marketing material talks about systems implementation. If you've got a team, we can help you manage that, the operations, the SOP, the what have you. But I notice in my work, I'm still seeing all of the things and I'm seeing all the gaps, which is why, like, through my business, I've kind of grown into this position where now I have a pool of talent behind me. So if I see that, this social media needs a lot of work because it's affecting the clients that are coming in, it's affecting the brand messaging that's out there, then I'll bring on a social media manager to be like, okay, we need to clean this up so then this reflects better coming in this way. Or, if they've got marketing materials that look like they were printed in 1995, I would suggest a brand refresh because all of that impacts the operations. Even though it's a marketing thing, I'm still seeing where all of these pieces need to get addressed in order for the operations to work smoothly on the back end and keep that client flow coming in. I think I've kind of grown with it. So now let's jump into the next topic that we've kind of been dancing around a little bit, but accreditation versus certification versus nothing at all. I kind of want to talk about each of your experiences going through different programs, and has it helped you? Has it led to newer clients? What has been your experience with going through it? And if you could go back and tell yourself about the experience in the program, what would you tell yourself?
It's really good to have questions ahead of time that you want to ask, and we don't know which questions to ask sometimes because we haven't done the program yet. We don't really know what all is involved and what's included. But I say know ahead of time where you plan to go once you've finished the program, and ask those questions, like what she was touching on earlier. If there is a directory or if there is a matching program, what kind of clients are you matching? What kind of skills are they specifically looking for or needing? How many matches actually evolve into a client relationship? Directories, if you have a directory, who has access to it? How many people are in it? How long is the directory around? How long can you have your listing in it? Can potential clients, can they look at that directory and contact you through the directory, or does everything have to go through the program or the matching program? Things like that, I think, are very important to know, because it helps you to decide if the program overall is worth it in the end, especially if you're going to use that program as a launching point for your own business. You need to know, how hard will it be to get clients when I'm finished? And I mean, that's a really important question, because a lot of people, you see everybody, oh, it's really easy. You just do X, Y, and Z and boom, you've got, your 6 figures. No, that's not how it works. And so you need to know that going into whatever program or accreditation or certification or whatever you're looking at going through. You need to know those types of things before you sign on the dotted line.
In my particular niche, certifications tell real estate agents that you're continuously learning about the skills that they need, but I don't think at any point having a certification for an OBM has helped me either way. It's just not something that's top of mind. It will come into conversation during like discovery calls or intro calls, because now they're asking more questions, especially if they've committed to you about what that means and what kind of experience that you can offer, because you're constantly selling your to them, whether it's operationally, OBM, VA, everything you do is going to be based on your experience, what you have to offer. It doesn't matter what letters are after your name. Like in real estate, we have all these fancy letters, and I do have those letters. But overall, I don't think it matters. So, and there is a difference, certification versus accreditation versus I'm just calling myself an OBM. I think you can learn everything you need to learn about being an OBM by watching free YouTube videos. It's out there. Accreditation is something that a school itself offers, because if they're putting you out into the workforce, so to speak, as a member of their program, then they're putting their name on it versus a certification, which a certification is a nationally recognized international thing, and you've got to pay to be a member of it.
A regulatory body.
Thank you.
I
What
think
do you think, Muneeba? Does certification, accreditation, nothing? What helps?
it depends. I've talked to quite a few of existing OBMs, VAs, and people just interested in the space. Before a couple weeks ago, I have never had a client in a discovery call ask about my accreditation. That didn't even come into play. On the last discovery call I had, the client had been on the website and was like, I saw you've got all this stuff up there. What does that even mean? So then explaining to that, and once I got through what all of that meant, it did help me land that particular client. So, because the client was like, okay, so someone's validated your skills? That's great. And that helped the client, make the decision to be like, because again, when we were having this conversation together, they were thinking that, this sounds like really good. It's too good to be true, maybe. But then when, you've got that accreditation part of it, I think for that particular client, it was able to seal the deal to be like, oh, so someone has validated this. What she's claiming she probably can do because there's someone saying that she can do it. So in that one instance, it did help, the accreditation. But I think it really depends, because it depends exactly what Christy was saying. What do you want to get out of the program? Or do you need a program? What have you done before that's led you to this point? Do you already have skills that will take you from point A to point B, transition into the OBM role? Because we've got, there's a lot of people who've worked in corporate environments. They've worked as executive assistants, project managers, and what have you. They may already have the skill set that you need. You just need the positioning advice on how to make that leap. So in that situation, if that's the kind of person that I'm talking to, I would say there's a lot of free resources out there that can help you, and you may not have to pay for a program because you may already have the skill set. Whereas if it's a VA saying, I can do all these things, but I'm just not sure what the bridge looks like, maybe you need something that is a little bit more tailored and targeted, and something that can walk you through that process of how do you shift from the VA to now become an OBM? What is the difference? How do you move from being a task manager to just creating the strategy? And a lot of VAs have that, but they may not have that bridge. So in that situation, yes, I would say get into a program, because that will give you that structured guidance on moving from point A to point B and the difference between a VA and an OBM. It'll help you with the shift that you need to move from there to there. Whereas other programs may rely heavily on tech and teaching you the tools out there and what have you. So for someone who's coming from a corporate background and maybe you're used to using a couple tools, but you're not really sure what else is out there, go to a program that teaches you all of those things. What are OBMs using in the field? So you may have the know-how, but you just need some help with everything that's out there for as far as implementation. Take a program that's going to help you do that. And because programs are out there that help with that. And some people are already operating at that level. They're already positioned themselves as an executive VA, or they've already positioned themselves as an OBM. Maybe you go to the regulatory body and be like, hey, I'm doing this. I just want someone to back my abilities. And maybe that's the path for you. Or maybe depending on the niche you're targeting, the clients you're targeting, maybe you can get away with just building your business and taking on a few clients. If it's a side gig for you, then sure, maybe you don't need to go through a full-blown program to do that. But there's a lot of context and a lot of decision making that, in my opinion, goes into which program you should choose, if you should choose a program, if you can get away with watching free videos on YouTube, or, getting resources off numerous OBM's websites that we already offer. So for me, it's more of a nuanced question. And if I were to go back and go to my previous OBM self, I would still do what I did, because at the time in my life where I was at, I needed that help to make the bridge from VA to OBM. It wasn't a skill issue, it was more of a positioning issue. And there were questions that I needed answers, that through a bit of guidance, I was able to come to a lot of conclusions by myself. Because again, when I do things, I don't do it in isolation. I will take what's in the program, but I'll also go out and look for other resources. I'll also go and, talk to people in my community. And some areas may not have been addressed in the program, but how do we fill in the gaps on our own? So to me, I think it's very nuanced, and maybe reaching out to an OBM to talk this through might be the best thing someone who's looking at this field can do.
I think to add to that, I have been through a program. I think for me, the completion of it, whether it was accreditation or certification, I am finding for me it wasn't necessary. And I didn't know that at the time, but I went through the program that I went through to bridge the gap between the online space and the in-person space. And I thought that it would be much different than it was as far as the gap. But it really isn't very different. Yes, you have tech that you have to learn, and there are some nuances to waiting on responses and that sort of thing. And who likes the second authentication code stuff that we get stuck into all the time? But barring all of that, I would say that I have not noticed any difference as far as helping me to get clients because I went through a program. I think another part of that too is the social proof. I mean, if you have testimonials and you have reviews, that's almost as good as going through a program because you already have real life clients telling people what it's like to telling people what it's like to work with you and the results that they're getting. So I think for me, that's probably more valuable for my clients and my potential clients to see than any accreditation or certification that I could have gotten, because when people work with us, they can see our skill set and they see that we do understand how to do X, Y, and Z. And I think, and I've said it before, we are our best marketing tool. And if we can show people what we can do, that speaks louder than a certification.
Muneeba, you nailed it on the head. A client is not going to ask if you're certified, but they are going to want to know that you can solve whatever problem they have. I've seen a trend right now where everybody's getting their ClickUp badge and their Asana badge and this, that, and the other thing. It does help with, especially if they're looking at you, I need help with ClickUp or I need help with Go High Level. If they're checking out your LinkedIn or your website, they may see that badge and go, oh, okay, well, they already know what they're doing. They have a badge in it. But for OBM, I don't think it matters. I've been through 2 programs and I've gotten something out of both programs. One was tech oriented, one was template oriented. So going through both of those programs, it helped my confidence and saying, hey, I can officially say that, I have actually outgrown both the programs that I took on certain levels. So on one level in one program, I was flying through it because I already had those skills that it was trying to teach me. The other one that was very tech based and doing things in the background that I had never done before, that one was a little harder for me. But it built my confidence saying I can jump into a new software program that I don't know and probably learn it within a few days, just to hit the highlights of it. And so that alone helped. But like I said before, you can jump on YouTube and learn that new skill. You can learn Airtable. You can learn Dubsado. You can learn whatever for free on YouTube. But positioning yourself is going to be what makes it work. If you're a VA and you're already managing somebody's business, you can change your title to OBM because now you've moved into management versus task. And that's what's really important in the OBM space.
I think that helps us move to our final topic that I wanted to cover. What is it like being a business owner? And how is that different from anything you've done before? Was it worth the leap, Christy?
I think it is worth the leap. However, there is also another leap that has to be taken, and that's the mindset leap. Because there is a difference between an employee mindset and a business owner mindset, and they're two separate things, and actually two separate beasts if you want to be honest, because when you make that leap, and I'm going to say leap because it is a leap into being an entrepreneur or a business owner, if you still have the employee mindset, as a business owner, you're looking to someone else outside of you to tell you what to do and give you direction. And as an entrepreneur and a business owner, that person is you. And so you should be looking in the mirror at this point and saying, okay, what are we going to do today? Because it's all on you. And I know we've touched on this in other episodes too, but you do wear a lot of hats. You have now you're doing all your marketing, you're doing all your networking, you're doing all of your content and copy, all of your assets, all of your social media. If you do that, and then you're also building your systems and your processes and bringing team members on and trying to delegate things that are in your head. And so there are lots of hats, and definitely a leap. Is it worth it? I would say absolutely. For me, it is, because I'm one of those weird people that I'm a visionary, but I'm also an implementer, and so I wear both hats. I've always got lots of ideas, but I know how to implement and build systems and organize too. So it's worth it, but it's hard. It's a hard road. It's not a straight and narrow road. It's a jagged, straight up, hard road, but it's worth it, because the reward at the end, once you build what you want to build and it's doing what you want it to do, that's the reward.
I think the hardest shift for me was realizing nobody is coming to manage me and keep me accountable anymore. There's no check ins, there's no deadlines. And that's really where our OBM community came in for me, is keeping each other accountable or working through something with the community that I just couldn't do myself. And a lot of times it's easy to just say I'm not doing it today, but then you've got that trigger in the back of your head. Well, if I didn't do it, it's gonna do it. So you're the boss, and you've got to learn how to lead yourself before you can lead anyone else. And as far as it being worth it, absolutely. You have freedom, you have autonomy, you get to choose your clients, you get to choose how you run your business. Sometimes you get to choose how you run your client's business. But Christy is right. It's a very hard road and it's very scary. Make sure when you get on the roller coaster that you're locked in tight, because it's up, it's down, it's sideways. And some days it's a drought, and some days, it's a thunderstorm. So if you're gonna do it, keep the mindset of this is a business, not a freelance gig. This is what's earning your income. I saw this mind shift early on. Muneeba got the mindset shift first, which made it easy for me to follow, because her mind shift came because there was no other option for her. It had to work. And the second I saw that click for her, I was like, now I know what I'm missing in my mindset. It has to work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, just real quick, is that is also the problem, is the buck stops with you. And so girls got to eat, and you got to make sure that you've got grocery money. And the only way to do that is to get out there and network and talk to other people and get your clients, which I'll be honest is really hard for me as an introvert. I can do all the things, but what? You want me to network? Oh my gosh, that's just so out of my wheelhouse and comfort zone, but it is a necessary hat that I have to put on.
I mean, entrepreneurship basically is risk taking. That's the essence of it. And this is a huge risk. It's a gamble that you take on yourself. In essence, that can I do this without the backing of a company overseeing, watching me, monitoring me? And, I agree with both of you. It's hard. It's not one of the easiest things to do. And sometimes, I'm in my clients' businesses and I see the people they have employed, and I'm like, wow, you're making your whole income worrying about your own task in one company. And I look at it and I'm like, I'm worrying about my income with multiple companies, doing multiple tasks, doing all the things. But would I change it? No, absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, for me, the differentiator is I own my time. And that is exactly why I got into being an OBM in the first place, is if I need to work, early mornings and late nights for a week because I've got something going on during the day, I can do that. It's not a problem. If I have to step out to attend an event with my daughter, I can do that too. but I have complete control over when I take my time off, how much time off I take, how I manage my projects. If I feel like, you know what, I think for the next quarter, I'm going to slow down a bit, I can do that and still have the flexibility to continue working with my clients on their projects and, delivering the service that I do. So for me, yeah, even though sometimes you look at it and you're like, wow, the mental load is probably a lot less if you're employed by someone else. But at the end of the day, I still have my freedom and I can do what I want when I want. And that is very important to me and how I take my role as a parent, because that was my goal. That's what I have. So to me, the struggle, the everything, it's 100% worth it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So with that said, any other things that you would have told yourself before getting into the OBM as we close off this episode?
I think one more thing I would throw in is if you're jumping into the online space or if you've been there, make sure you have a community of like-minded people that you can go to, brainstorm with, bounce ideas off of. That has been completely and utterly something I have not been able to live without. And you guys have definitely been a part of that. And I think I would not be where I'm at, both personally and professionally, without the support of other people. So I would say definitely find groups or communities that you can be a part of that will help you grow.
Yeah, I would say reach out to an OBM or a VA. Reach out to somebody who's doing what you think you want to do and have a coffee chat. We are, especially the three of us, we have coffee chats with people all the time talking about what it's like to be an OBM, what it was like to go to different schools, what it was like, to start running the business. There's a million different questions that come at each of us for different reasons or like when I first met Muneeba, she said something that really clicked with me. And I was like, that's who I need to talk to because we were going through the same thing at the same time. And once that click happened, then we met you, Christy, who was bringing even more goodness into our little community. And because the three of us are so different in the way we approach things, like you said, having that community or just those people to talk to is really going to help you as a solopreneur.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, what other job would let me have my cat walk all over my desk at
Yes.
every single moment and knock over all of my things? So the joy that I get just from being able to do what I do and include my cat, I think it's the best thing. But I agree with both of you as far as community because I did exactly that. I went into this thinking, you know what? I've got so much going on. I've just got to make it work. I'm going to keep my head down. I'm going to do whatever I do. But I didn't realize the value of community until I connected with both of you. And then you get the different perspectives, and then you're like, no, wait, this is good. Like, I need to make time for this because this is so helpful. And it helps you get out of the little bubble that you're in when you work from home. Because you don't have that interaction that you have in an in-person environment. So having that community to kind of get out of your head is absolutely a big part of why I feel like I am at the place I am right now. Well, thank you both. This has been such an amazing and enlightening topic. Everybody listening, please make sure to visit our communities on Facebook and LinkedIn. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.